All right, thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And Olamide, as well as Nelson, are standing by to bring us up to speed. Guys, good morning. What are the papers saying this morning?
It's payday.
Good morning, Veronica.
Good morning, Veronica.
Good morning, Brian.
Aside that, January has come to an end.
It seems they're quite excited that January has come to an end, really. What's the special news about this for you, Veronica?
Nelson, finally you made it. I guess you got a directive to join the march.
Man, you wouldn't want to. I don't want to tell you the ordeal I had to go through to make it, but thankfully I'm here now.
All right, take it away then.
All right.
Thank you very much. The papers are saying quite a number of issues today, ranging from politics to economy to security. Olamide, and so we have quite a number of conversations to look at today from the national dailies. Hopefully we'll be able to ride the jeep to the end of the road. And that's how we'll begin with the Nation newspaper this morning, with a very wonderful caption right there on security and politics mixed together. Check this out. Why military can't come back to power. This is quoting General Abdul Salami. Olamide, would you want that to happen?
Oh, well, I do not think, especially for those who were, who were alive to see the military era, some of them will not want a repeat of that. No, and having a former military head of state come out to say this, as someone who was in charge at that time, saying that democracy is actually best
he knows
for Nigeria,
what
where
he's
everyone
saying.
has an opinion, everyone can express themselves, freely.
Fair, yeah.
And so I think what he's trying to also say is that we could have some changes perhaps to the way our democracy is being run. However, democracy should be the best.
And still on that, there's no alternative to civil rule. INEC calls for internal democracy in parties. A good call for INEC to do. And at the top nameplate here of the nation, federal government sets 25.2 trillion target for the FIRS, that is the Federal Internal Revenue Service. I think that'll be it for the nation at this time.
And now on the New Telegraph, of course, is quoting the statement made by the former military head of state, who says he is proud of his government as the government birthed Nigeria's democracy. He's saying that there was a form of, a good and a solid foundation to birth democracy in Nigeria. But away from that...
Well, there'll be some questions to that,
I mean, some persons will disagree on that, but he was in power then, and seeing what we're running now, perhaps he has seen a vast difference. As much as our democracy, some will say it's not really where it ought to be, but I mean, we have been moving.
Of course, certainly there always will be variations of perceptions and opinions. Go ahead, please.
Another story here, which will be, on the bottom of the newspaper, that's the New Telegraph, which says this speakership crisis in Lagos State, DSS releases 2 lawmakers after interrogation. Besides removal constitutional, the lawmakers are insisting as group raises alarm over alleged harassment of legislators. That raises concern about, democracy and all of that, having to transition properly. And why they're now being, while legislators are being harassed as to, because of a change and all of that, I think that should be something that should be addressed. But on the top of the New Telegraph, there is a statement made by Atiku. I think we see Atiku every day now on the newspapers.
You would understand exactly why that is so.
Well, some will say it's the countdown to 2027, but I didn't say that. Abuja to Atiku, prove APC's buying over opposition parties with 50 million. That's a response to the allegation early this week, saying that the All Progressives Congress is, buying parties with 50 million naira each ahead of the election. But I think that's it for the New Telegraph. Absolutely.
Now let's look at the blueprint. And I'd like to begin with the picture story right there. Olamide, I love photographs. Well, this kind of photographs, by the way. We see the vice president right there, and in front of him, a number of other persons, but I'd like to recognize, the Chief Judge of the Federation and the Minister of Women Affairs. And this is the reason. This was at the opening of the Gender Inclusion Conference at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. This is wonderful to see, you know, our women are rising to the challenge of nation building. Absolutely. And other stories right here we had taken already. But there's something again on the economy. Cardoso reforms yielding significant result. That is at the top end of the blueprint. This is quoting the CBN governor. That'll be it for the blueprint at this time.
Well, quoting the reforms that the CBN governor says is, bringing out more results. I mean, some will say it has to also get to the people. The people have to, also benefit from this things. If the people cannot say they're getting any reward for this, how will some believe that statement? We're going to this Nigerian newspaper, and the speaker is having the big story here. He is saying politicians are weaponizing religion, ethnicity for personal gains. As the ex-head of state, Abdulsalami Abubakar, declares there is no alternative to democracy, he wants Nigerians to imbibe democratic ideals. Another story by the right of this Nigerian. Nurses, midwives in Ondo withdraw services over poor salary. That's another story there, which is, a source of concern. But let's go to the next paper. Absolutely. And there's something right here, Olamide, that is very political. I never wanted a position in Tinubu's government. This is quoting El-Rufai. All right. As presidency refutes comments on state of governance and opposition. Well, let's see if what El-Rufai is saying is as it is. I don't know. He knows, and they know. But I guess that is where we would hang it down for the Nigerian News Direct. Well, let's go to the Punch. The Punch is talking about the PDP crisis. Stakeholders demand Wike Bauchi governors' truce as governors are expected to meet today. Fubara's camp wants Damagun kicked out as chairman. Opposition governors converge on Asaba. And herdsmen kill 5 laborers on Ondo farm. That's on the bottom strip of the Punch newspaper. And that's also what is making the headline right here on the Weekend Hope. But I'd like to take another story right here. Appeal Court affirms IPOP as a terrorist organization. All right, and there's something very wonderful right here. Should I call this wonderful? Let me do a picture story again of Two-Face Idibia and his, divorced wife now, Annie. Fresh controversies trailed to Baba Annie Dibas divorce saga. This is as the DSS arraigns man over alleged possession of 290 NIN. I don't understand. I mean, why would you have 290? 290. Why did he get from 1 to 290? Well, that's left for the DSS to ascertain. Of course, the story that will interest me more between the Annie Dibia story and, of course, this NIS story, I think is the security issue that concerns me more. As, having someone accessing 290 NINs. We also need to go to the story and understand. They didn't have it after the registration. You have a master's in criminology. I was expecting you to zoom in right here now, And so it's left for the DSS to actually handle as to how an individual has 290 NINs. Because, this, affects this whole verification and the need to ensure that, Nigerians are being registered. There's another story here that is of interest, but I think we'll get back to that later. Indeed. All right, let's go to the Daily Times newspaper. It says here, court grants Sowore 10 million naira bail after declaring police and IG illegal. All right, this is as federal government NGOs partnership on youth employment. I love this one right there. And again, the Minister of Interior, Tunji Ojo, advocates technical skill acquisition in tertiary institution. And another one here says, Tinubu is committed to fixing infrastructure in Southeast. This is quoting the Minister of Works, Dave Umai. That will be it for the Daily Times newspaper. Let's go to Daily Independent. And legal experts endorse state police implementation, say it is overdue, call for caution in developing a new framework. Another story here says That's the president by the left of the newspaper. I look forward to hosting Vatican leadership in Nigeria. Tinubu, that's when he was, commiserating with those, involved with the U.S. Aircraft mishap. And, well, another story here, by the rights. NTC generated 195.8 billion naira in 2024, remitted 111 billion to the government.
Indeed. Now let's go quickly to the first news with the header here saying Nigeria bleeding, suffering from poor policies. This is quoting the governor of Adamawa State, Fintiri, blasts Tinubu's government. All right. And then quickly on insecurity, I've repented, kidnapped Kingpin Evans, begs court, 6 plea bargain. All right. The court knows exactly what to do. But that'll be it for the first newspaper.
Very quickly to the Guardian newspaper. And the paper here says Mission 300 by 2030. Optimism as West African cities get $50 billion lifeline. Fresh bid for electricity. That's a good one. There are hopes for what that's going to, be. Lamido, Galadima reopen anti-North rhetoric with inheritance tax. Atiku faults Tinubu's harassment in court as Amechi warns of power claim. That's quite political. But that's what we have on the Guardian newspaper this morning.
Okay. Funnily, Olamide, there's quite a number of stories, but because of time, we have to move as fast as we possibly can. Now, the next one is the Leadership newspaper. Lafia Cargo Airport facilities rotting away. Federal government abandons project after takeover and commissioning. It's a sad situation. This is quoting Al Makura. An aviation ministry keeps mum. Well, I know the government is doing as much as it can to make sure that infrastructures are kept up to date. And so this is something they will look into. But that'll be it for the Leadership newspaper.
I'm going to the Platform Times this morning. And Budget is quoting, saying contractors flee with 3.9 billion naira, abandon 129 federal government projects. That's according to Budget newspaper. Another interesting story here says a couple arrested for selling 6-year-old daughter for 450,000 naira Nelson. That is a story that, is
I wish we had the time, Olamide, who would have hit on all of this.
Another story here, Kaduna train attack. I paid 80 million naira ransom for my mom's sister's release. A witness is quoted as saying. But that's it for the Platform Times.
All right, and Nature News is the next to be considered. Olamide.
What does this mean? I'm checking the Sporting Life today again. Olamide, if you would have to forgive me on this, I'm trying to find where my Nature News is, and I can't see it, so which means the Sporting Life is all back to me. So you take on with the Nature News. All right, I have the Nature News with me here. Tompolo applauds Tinubu over Nigerian Maritime University law. We saw that yesterday also. And a meeting with President Tinubu, what Ogunis want. Legbosi Piagbara is quoted as saying, 600 million Africans lack electricity. And Lake Chad Basin governor seek increased financial support to combat regional challenges. Well, you have the Sporting Life.
Well, over now to me on sports with a very simple one here. Boniface will stay put. Olamide, it says it's no big deal. Transfer crashed. Well, Olamide, I'm sure you will stay put with me this morning on the show.
As always.
So your transfer will not crash this morning. And that's how we would pass the ball. But before we so do, Olamide, there was an issue you raised up earlier.
Right, that would be the Weekend Hope newspaper. On the Weekend Hope newspaper, there are a lot of stories that interest me today. Well, possibly because it is Friday. There's a fresh controversy trailing Two-Face and Annie Idibie's divorce. But there is a question here that it says, would you risk plastic surgery to enhance your shape? I mean, that is quite...
Maybe you should answer that, right? Because I'm not sure that is talking to men, as in where,
I mean, you could also enhance your, maybe not your shape, but... your physique and all of that. But is that something you're looking into?
Man, I'm good. I don't.
What does that mean?
I don't need more. I don't need to enhance anything. That's what I'm trying to say.
So what are you saying? Those who do that?
Well, again, it's choice. You know, it's preference. If an individual wants to so do, that is his or her business.
So are you indirectly referring to
but
me?
individuals like myself.
Because I feel like I'm quite open-minded. I feel like I can explore that.
So you'd want to so do?
I'm not saying I want to. I'm saying I'm quite open-minded.
Well, I mean, let me give
I may explore that.
Let me give you a
later.
national advice. You are good the way you are. You don't need no other addition. but let's ask Veronica and Ibrahim. You know, Vero, would you consider, you know, body enhancement of any form?
Body no, I wouldn't. I was made. I know that scripture that says I was fearfully and wonderfully made, so I'm fine. No body enhancement.
Well, I couldn't agree less you are, but that's how we would wrap it up today on the newspaper review segment. Thank you, guys.